Hello creative friends, this is Joy coming to you with another art journal page. So I have these plates that I got from Tim Holtz, and I pulled out my Cricut and I pulled out some pieces of cardstock that I decided to do some embossing with these embossing folders on these cardstocks. So I have my plate A, and then I have this spellbinder embossing pad, and then I put my scrap paper in between the embossing folder to run it through my Cricut. But you'll see here that for whatever reason it was too loose. So I'm like, well, shoot, why is that so loose? So I decide to try to add the other B plate and try it with both B plates. That was too thick. Nope, still not working. So then I'm like, well, trying the B plate again. Nope, don't want to force it through because it'll crack the plate probably. So I put the instructions on there thinking, well, maybe it just needs a little bit of paper. But that seemed like it was too loose. So then I just grabbed the other, because the pack comes with two pads. So I just grabbed the other pad, threw it on there, and just put that through. And finally was able to figure out the right combination to get the embossing folder to emboss correctly. So yeah, sometimes you have to add a piece of cardstock to thicken it up, but in this case I just added the other embossing pad, and so it seemed to work. And so I went through and embossed actually 4 different pieces of paper I did embossing on. And these embossing folders are actually cards. You'll see here in a minute that they're like playing cards. So I thought those were really neat. And I actually had them on my favorites list for quite a long time before finally deciding to go ahead and purchase them. So here I'm just rubbing lightly over the tops of the card with a black ink pad to get the image to show up. And on this side, I'm actually going over the side that has the raised image. And so that's the embossed side, not the debossed. The debossed side is the other side where the image is pressed into the paper. But of course I wanted the embossed side, which is where the image is raised, and I'm just rubbing it so that with the black ink so that I could get the image to come out. And then I'm trimming around these cards with scissors. So I have this advertising from, I think it was a car dealership, with playing cards where it was some kind of a deal, and I thought, oh, I could use that on an art journal page. That'd be kind of cool. And so I've been hanging on to them, not sure what to do with them. I also have a book of games that has these really neat drawings in the book of people playing cards that I've torn pages out of it and used it on some of my art journals before. And I do end up, deciding to use an image out of that book as well on this art journal page. So the art journal page, was kind of about cards and, that kind of thing. And then eventually you'll see I kind of go through my stash to find a couple of tags and a quote that I thought would be appropriate for this particular page. So here I'm going around the edges of all of the cards with black ink to edge the cards with some black ink, just to kind of give them a little bit of a black edge. And the art journal page, which you'll see here in a minute, I kind of do a lot of fancy stuff on it, but in the end you can't even see any of it. So this page started out with what was a jelly print. And there's the image that I tore out that I wanted to use on the page. And I'm tearing up, some other book pages because I figure, oh, I'll just put some pieces of, paper down. So I figured I'd put some pieces of this book pages down, and the envelopes, I'd rip those up, and use the inside of those on this page as well. And then, do something over the top. But like I said, by the time I got done with the page of, what I did with it, you couldn't even hardly see any of the stuff that I put on, underneath. But, it still turned out kind of cool. I probably would have been better off, I guess, using, this is like the 9 by 12, and I probably would have been better off using my 12 by 14 journal, because you'll see here in the end, by the time I get all of the elements on this page that I decide to put on it, it ends up being a pretty full page. So here I pull out some gesso, and of course I spill it all over my hand. And this is some gesso that, like, it was almost completely used up, and I put a little bit of water in there to water down the gesso. I like to use watered down gesso when I'm putting elements on my page such as this, so that way, it doesn't completely cover up the elements. I mean, you kind of still want to see, the text page and the, design or whatever that's on the pieces of envelope. So that's why I like to water down the gesso, just so that, it adheres the pieces to the page but doesn't completely cover them up, if that makes any sense. So I went through and put all of these pieces on the page with this watered down gesso, and then set it aside to dry. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of time to dry, because usually I'll do something like this and set it aside or walk away from it for, to take care of something else, to do something else for a half hour, come back and it's dry. You could use a heat gun to, speed it up if you want it to dry more quickly, and you really don't want to, wait for it to dry. Or sometimes I'll do this, one day, and then the next day when I come back to it, it'll be dry, and then I can continue with what I was doing. But this particular time, I already had in mind pretty much kind of what I wanted to do with the page. So of course I didn't want to come back the next day. I just wanted to get it done. A lot of times I'll sit down to do a journal page and not really have an idea what the heck I'm going to do with it. So I will kind of play with the background and let it dry, and then give it some time, to think about it. But here I thought my camera was rolling, and I was using these distressing paints or inks, whatever you want to call them, on this page, just to kind of model the background a little bit in this orange and green and brown. And so I'm adding some more here, because it seemed like that they needed to be a little bit darker. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thought I was recording, and then when I went to stop it so I could quick dry it, I was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't even recording. So, but you guys get the idea. I just kind of, rubbed around different areas on the page to get some color on there. And then like here, where it wasn't blending, I just kind of used a baby wipe to kind of blend the edges out a little bit, and then added more where I thought it needed more. And actually this background turned out really neat. I mean, I would definitely like to use this again, this technique, because I was really happy with the way it turned out. But I wasn't happy that by the time I was done you couldn't see any of it. But this stamp is just a stamp block I got like at, the flea market or something, and it has different textures on it. It's got like 3 or 4 different sides of it with texture on it that I thought would kind of be neat to put some texture. And then here is the elements that I found in my stash. A title that says "Stake Your Claim." These, and then the picture, and those are the cards that I cut out of the advertisement. And then "Expect More," and a little quote. Oh, and then some coins. And the coins are off to the right corner there. And I'm just playing around with the layout, trying to figure out, okay, how do I want all these elements to fit on this page, and how are they going to fit? Because I obviously have a lot of elements I want to put on here. And the coins, it turned out I had a circle punch that punched them out perfectly. So thankfully I didn't have to sit and cut those out. So I kind of figure out how I wanted, this page to be laid out. And then I use some collage podge to glue down some of the elements, or at least the ones that I could use the collage podge for, which was this picture of these people, these guys playing cards, and my title at the top, and my quote. And I, as you see there, I'm putting collage podge on the page and then over top of it to make sure everything is sealed down good. And I use these glue dots in order to put down the other elements and adhere them to the page. But I really like the way that the page turned out. It turned out pretty cool, even though, and some of those coins I wanted them to be underneath the other elements. But it turned out pretty neat, I thought. I was pretty happy with it by the time I was done. So the little quote that I just glued down there says, "Although no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending," which I thought was kind of appropriate for the page, considering, what I put on it that says, stake your claim and expect more. I just, I guess this is kind of more of a page about, just, going for what you want out of life, and it's never too late. I mean, you can start right now where you're at and, try to accomplish or go for, whatever dreams that you have for your life. It's never too late. And, people should definitely expect more and, go for their dreams. So I was going to glue down the coins, but those cards are like that really kind of slick, advertising that they use. And I was like, I don't know that the glue is going to hold it. So then I grabbed my glue dots and used those to glue the little coins down, to the page, which seemed to work better. And of course, I end up using the glue dots on those cards because I didn't think that the Mod Podge was going to hold those down very well. So I figured the glue dots would definitely do the trick to making sure that those cards stay down and adhered to the page. And so, like you can see, and as I was saying, I had a lot of elements that I decided to put on this page, so it probably would have been better suited on a bigger journal page, like my 12 by 14 journal. And I was thinking about using that one, but I was like, I always use that one. I think I want to use the smaller one, and here I should have used the bigger one, but that's okay. It all works out in the end. So after I got everything down, I was like, well, it seems like that, it needs something else. Like at least it needs some kind of, something around the title. So I grabbed my, this is a grease marker or China marker, whatever you want to call it, and go around the title. And you'll see here in a minute that the elements needed some kind of shadowing as well. And here I'm just trying to make sure everything's really good and dry so that, and China marker will definitely, work on just about anything, but I'm not sure about if it's still wet. So I thought, well, the coins need some shadowing, so I was drawing around them and smudging it with my fingers, which seemed to work. So I figured I'd do that first before I outline the title, because I really wanted the outline, I didn't want the outline of the title to be smudged. So I was trying to do a shadow around the coins, which is what I'm doing there, and smudging it with my finger in around the cards. But pretty much this is the journal page for this week. I hope you guys liked the video. And if you do, you can hit the like button, or if you'd like to see more of my videos, you could hit the subscribe button. Or if you'd like to leave a comment, you could also leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Or if there's something that, you'd like to see me do, I'd certainly, like to hear about that as well. I really enjoy doing these art journal pages, and I especially enjoy sharing them with everybody. They're a lot of fun to do, and it's kind of my creative outlet, I guess you could say, which it helps me get my creative outlet, and for the week, and keeps me sane, as they say. Helps keep me sane. But I really like the way this page turned out, so I hope you guys like it too. And I hope you like all of the videos that I put out. I try to put out a video once a week at least, so that gives you an idea of how often you can expect to see my, videos posted from me. But I hope you guys like it, and we'll talk to you again later. Bye bye.